Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most talked about coins in the world of rare US coin collecting. That's right, we're talking about the 1982 D Jefferson nickel with the Monticello reverse. This might look like an ordinary 5-cent coin to most people, but under the right conditions this little nickel can be worth a fortune. In fact, some collectors believe it could be worth thousands, even up to $1 million in extreme cases. So how does a simple 1982 D nickel end up becoming a potential goldmine? Let's find out. Background first, let's talk about what this coin is. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938. The obverse features Thomas Jefferson's profile, while the reverse shows his famous home Monticello. In 1982, the Denver Mint produced millions of these nickels, and on the surface there's nothing too special about them. However, there's more to this story than meets the eye. This year marked a transition in coin production, and that created opportunities for unique errors and varieties to sneak into circulation, and that's where things get interesting. Key facts about the 1982 D Jefferson nickel. Let's break down what you need to know. The D mint mark stands for Denver, which means this coin was minted at the Denver Mint. The coin is made of a copper-nickel alloy and weighs 5 grams. Millions were produced, so generally speaking most 1982 D nickels are only worth face value. But there are a few important exceptions, and those are what you want to look for: valuable varieties and errors. Some 1982 D Jefferson nickels have been discovered with dramatic die errors, planchet issues, off-center strikes, and more, but the most famous is the rare 1982 D nickel struck on the wrong planchet. In these cases the nickel was accidentally struck on a copper penny planchet, or a foreign coin planchet, instead of the normal 5-gram copper nickel blank. That means the weight is off, and the metal composition is different. When collectors or graders find one of these rare errors, the price skyrockets. One confirmed example of a 1982 D Jefferson nickel struck on a penny planchet sold at auction for over $10,000, and that's just the beginning. What makes a 1982 D nickel worth big money? Here's what you should look for if you want to see if your 1982 D nickel could be valuable. First, check for weight. A standard nickel should weigh 5 grams. If yours weighs significantly less, say around 3.1 grams, you might have a rare wrong planchet error. Next, look for any unusual coloration, like a copper tone instead of the typical gray-silver look of a nickel. That's another sign of a wrong planchet. Then examine the strike. Is the design off-center? Is the edge incomplete? Are there doubling effects on the lettering or numbers? Any of these could increase the coin's value dramatically. And finally, condition matters. A coin in uncirculated mint state condition, especially one graded MS-65 or higher by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, can command a high premium, even without an error. The million-dollar question: so how could this coin be worth $1 million right now? Number 1982 D nickel has officially sold for $1 million, but there are ongoing rumors in the coin collecting community of an ultra-rare combination error that could potentially reach that level. Imagine a 1982 D Jefferson nickel struck on a foreign gold planchet, or with an extreme multiple strike error in flawless mint state. If one like that ever surfaced, and was verified by a top grading service, it could easily spark a bidding war at auction. Coin collectors and investors alike would go all in to secure such a legendary rarity. Current market value. Let's talk real numbers. A typical circulated 1982 D nickel is worth 5 cents. An uncirculated one might be worth up to $1 or $2, but coins with confirmed errors, especially wrong planchets, have sold for between $5,000 and $15,000 depending on condition. One rare example graded by PCGS sold for over $10,000. And that was just for a single coin. Imagine if more dramatic examples are discovered. The market is always hungry for rare finds, and that's where the million-dollar hype comes from. It's not impossible, just extremely rare. What you can do. So what should you do? Start by checking your change. Look at your old coin jars, your piggy banks, your family's stash of old coins. If you find a 1982 D Jefferson nickel, put it on a scale and check the weight. Examine the color, the strike, and the edges. If anything seems off, do not clean the coin. Instead, take it to a professional coin dealer or send it to a grading service. Even a small error could be worth thousands. Final thoughts: the 1982 D Monticello Jefferson nickel might be common on the surface, but rare varieties of this coin are hiding in plain sight, and some of them are worth big money. With a little luck and some close inspection, you might just find a rare gem worth far more than 5 cents, maybe even a life-changing amount. So go check your nickels and keep your eyes open. 1964 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark. There's a lot of buzz out there about this coin being worth millions. Is it real? Is it a myth? Let's break it all down and uncover the truth behind the hype. Let's start with a little background. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the front features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, while the back shows his Virginia home, Monticello. The design remained mostly unchanged for decades, making subtle variations and mint marks incredibly important for collectors. Now, 1964 was a wild year in U.S. coin production. Due to a national coin shortage, the U.S. Mint produced more nickels in 1964 than any other year before it. We're talking over 1.8 billion nickels minted, that's billion with a B. The Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally used no mint mark, produced the vast majority of them. So yes, most 1964 nickels have no mint mark, and no, that alone does not make them rare. Among all those billions of nickels, a small number have very specific characteristics that make them incredibly valuable. And when I say valuable, I mean some have sold for 5 or even 6 figures. There's even a story going around about one selling for over $1 million. So what makes these nickels so special? First, we're talking about condition. Most nickels from 1964 are heavily circulated. They're worn down, scratched, and pretty common. But if you happen to find a 1964 nickel in full steps condition, especially with all 5 or 6 steps at the base of Monticello clearly visible, you've got something rare. These nickels are graded by services like PCGS and NGC, and those that are nearly flawless, we're talking MS66, MS67, or higher, are what collectors go crazy for. 1964 Jefferson nickel, graded MS67 with full steps, sold for over $30,000. That's real, documented, and verified. But what about the $1 million claim? Well, let's be honest. The vast majority of 1,964 nickels, even the shiny ones, aren't worth more than face value. The idea that a regular no-mint mark 1964 nickel is worth $1 million is mostly clickbait, or a misunderstanding. However, there's a kernel of truth buried in there. There are rumors and reports of ultra-rare varieties, potentially proof strikes, errors, or even experimental planchets, that somehow escape the mint. These would be one-of-a-kind coins. And in the world of coin collecting, rarity drives value. If someone discovered a legitimate 1964 Jefferson nickel with those unique traits, and it had impeccable condition, yes, it could theoretically sell for hundreds of thousands or even $1 million at auction.as of today. No verified 1964 Jefferson nickel has sold for $1 million. The highest known sales are in the 5-figure range, depending on the grade and condition. The $1 million talk likely comes from speculative listings, eBay hype, or click-driven media. Still, this doesn't mean you shouldn't check your change. If you've got a jar of old nickels lying around, take a closer look. You're looking for sharp detail, especially on the steps of Monticello. Use a magnifying glass. If you think you've got something special, submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. And remember, coins with high grades, no damage, and full steps are your golden ticket. So to wrap up, is the 1964 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel worth $1 million? Not in most cases. But some rare, pristine examples have fetched tens of thousands of dollars at auction. And if you happen to have one of those rumored ultra-rare varieties, you might just have a once-in-a-lifetime find on your hands. 1974 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel. If you've ever come across a nickel from this year and thought it was just pocket change, think again. You might be sitting on a hidden treasure. Let's get into it. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American currency since 1938, featuring a profile of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. Most of us have seen these nickels thousands of times without giving them a second glance. But in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest details can mean the difference between face value and a life-changing payday. Now, the 1974 Jefferson nickel was minted in 3 locations. Coins with a small D mark under the year were minted in Denver. Those with an S were minted in San Francisco, typically as proofs. And those with no mint mark at all? They were minted in Philadelphia. Here's where it gets interesting. While most no mint mark coins from 1974 aren't rare, Certain coins from that year have shown up with such unusual qualities that collectors have paid thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars, for a single nickel. And in some rare cases, with the right conditions, the value can skyrocket into the millions. So, what makes a 1974 no-mint mark nickel potentially worth that much? It all comes down to errors, condition, and rarity. First, let's talk about condition. A nickel in mint state condition, especially with a high grade like MS66 or above, is incredibly rare. These coins were used heavily in circulation, which means most of them are scratched, worn, or damaged. Finding one in pristine condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. When a collector or grading company finds a 1974 nickel in nearly flawless shape, its value shoots up fast. Second, there are rare error coins from this year. Some 1974 nickels were struck off-center. Some were double-struck. Some show incredible die cracks, cut breaks, or even ghost images of previous strikes. These mint errors are highly sought after. A major error on a no-mint mark 1974 Jefferson nickel can easily bring in thousands of dollars at auction. And then, there's the big one. Every now and then, a coin is discovered that seems completely normal at first glance. But when sent for professional grading and authentication, it reveals something extraordinary. A perfect storm of rarity, flawlessness, and historical uniqueness. These are the coins that collectors fight over. These are the coins that break records. There have been rumors and reports of 1974 no-mint mark Jefferson nickels selling in private collections or auctions for astronomical sums. Some coin experts claim a few of these examples are so rare and pristine that their estimated value is well into seven figures. That's right, over $1 million. Of course, most 1974 no-mint mark nickels won't bring in that kind of cash. Many are worth just face value. Some might fetch a few dollars if they're in better condition. But if you're lucky enough to find one with sharp details, no wear, and a notable mint error, you could be holding something truly valuable. So, what should you look for? Flip through your change. Set aside any 1974 nickels you come across. Look closely at the edges, the lettering, the surface of the coin. If you see doubling in the letters or numbers, an off-center strike, or a strange texture to the coin, it might be worth further inspection. If the coin looks almost brand new, even better. Once you find something that looks unusual, your next step should be to get it professionally graded. Services like PCGS and NGC can verify the coin's authenticity, grade it, and give you a clearer picture of its true value. A certified high-grade error coin will always command higher prices in the marketplace. Now let's take a look at a few real-world examples. In recent years, high-grade Jefferson nickels from the 1970s have sold at auction for thousands of dollars. In one case, a 1974 nickel with an MS66 grade sold for over $4,000. Another example with a dramatic off-center strike and no mint mark brought in even more. And that's just the public auctions. Private collectors will often pay even higher prices for coins that fill a rare hole in their collection. So, while most 1974 no-mint mark nickels may not seem special, the right combination of error, condition, and scarcity can turn them into a coin worth more than your car, your house, or in some cases, more than $1 million. Before you dismiss that old change jar, take a closer look. The next life-changing discovery might be hiding right at the bottom. 1988 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark. Yes, that little 5-cent piece could be worth a fortune, and I mean potentially millions in the right condition and under the right circumstances. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's a modern coin, it's a nickel, how could it be worth that much? But stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to learn about the rare varieties, the minting errors, the grading game, and the reasons why this seemingly ordinary coin has caught the attention of collectors and investors alike. Let's start at the beginning. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American coinage since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, it features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, and his famous Monticello estate on the reverse. The 1988 version follows this same design tradition, but there's a twist. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 580 million nickels that year, which makes it seem common. But as with many things in numismatics, it's not just about how many were made, it's about how many were made perfectly and how many survived with rare attributes. So why is the 1988p nickel gaining so much attention in the coin world right now? The answer lies in a combination of factors. First, the rise of coin roll hunting has brought more attention to these overlooked dates. People are discovering strange anomalies and rare errors in coins that were once dismissed as ordinary. The 1988p nickel is one such coin, and here's where things get interesting. Let's talk about die varieties and minting errors. During the minting process, a lot can go wrong, and collectors love it when things go wrong. A few known errors for the 1988p nickel include off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, and full steps on the Monticello reverse. The full steps designation, for example, is a major key. If the steps on Monticello are fully struck and undisturbed, it dramatically increases the coin's value. Now here's the kicker. In pristine condition, graded by third-party services like PCGS or NGC, and with the right combination of attributes, such as a full step strike, high mint state grading like MS67 or MS68, and no visible flaws, these nickels can fetch thousands of dollars at auction. Some sources even speculate that unique or undiscovered varieties of the 1988p nickel, particularly with dramatic double dies or previously undocumented errors, could reach into the 6 or even 7-figure range if they turn out to be one of a kind. Still not convinced? Let's look at real-world market data. In recent years, we've seen common-looking coins surprise everyone at auction. One 1988p Jefferson nickel-graded MS67 with full steps by PCGS sold for over $5,000. That's $5,000 for a 5-cent coin. And that's just the beginning. Imagine finding one with a major minting anomaly, something that makes it unique among millions. Here's where things get wild. There's an ongoing hunt for an ultra-rare version of the 1988p nickel that might have been struck on the wrong planchet, or using an experimental die. These are what collectors call discovery coins. They haven't been officially recognized yet, but once they are, and once the numismatic world confirms their authenticity, the price can skyrocket into the millions, especially if it's the only one known. Think about how the 1943 copper penny changed the game. Or the 1955 double die Lincoln cent. All started out as humble coins no one paid much attention to. Now they're the holy grails of coin collecting. The 1988p nickel has the potential to join that elite club. And let's not forget the power of grading. A coin in mint state 64 might be worth $50. That same coin in mint state 67 with full steps, we're talking thousands. Throw in a rare die variety or error, and the sky's the limit. This is why so many collectors and investors are taking a fresh look at their change jars, their coin folders, and their rolls of nickels from the bank. So how do you know if your 1988p nickel is worth something? Start by examining the steps on Monticello. Are they clear and complete? Then look for doubling on the letters or numbers. Pay attention to the mint mark. Is it normal, or does it look like it was punched more than once? Is there anything off about the planchet, like a strange color, weight, or rim? If something looks odd, it might just be a rare variety, and if you think you've found something special, don't just guess. Get it graded. A coin grading service like PCGS or NGC will give it a professional evaluation, authenticate it, and slab it in a holder that tells the world exactly what it is and how rare it might be. The future of the 1988p Jefferson nickel is still being written. New discoveries are happening every year. Some may call it hype, others call it hope. But one thing's for sure, this nickel is no longer being ignored. It's a symbol of what's possible in the world of coin collecting. Something so small, so overlooked, could turn out to be the jackpot you never knew you had. So what are you waiting for? Check your change. Look through those old coin jars. Search the rolls. That 5-cent coin could be hiding in plain sight, and if you're lucky, you might just be holding a $1 million piece of American history. 1990p Jefferson nickel from the Philadelphia Mint might just be hiding a secret that could turn 5 cents into a $1 million payday. That's right, we're talking about a nickel that most people overlook every day, something so ordinary that it might be sitting in your piggy bank, or your kitchen drawer right now, but under the right conditions with the right features, that seemingly normal 1990p Monticello nickel could be worth tens of thousands, and in some rare cases it has fetched values rumored to hit seven figures. Let's start by understanding what makes the 1990p Jefferson nickel special. First, the P mint mark tells us it was minted in Philadelphia, and over 600 million of these coins were produced. So what sets one apart from the rest? The answer is in the details, and the errors. One of the most valuable types of coins in the collector's market are those with minting errors. These are mistakes that happen during the production process and often go unnoticed for years. They might include double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, or missing elements. For the 1990p Jefferson nickel, the biggest jackpot comes from a particular kind of error known as a full steps designation. This term refers to the number of visible steps at the base of Monticello, the iconic building featured on the reverse of the coin. A coin with 5 or 6 sharply defined steps is extremely rare, especially in pristine, uncirculated condition. The full steps variety is already valuable on its own, but there's more. If you happen to find a 1990p nickel with full steps and a proof-like or deep mirror finish, you might be holding a coin worth thousands instantly. And if your coin also contains an unusual error such as a double die or is struck on the wrong metal planchet, your nickel could skyrocket into the 6 or even 7-figure range at auction. Now let's talk about what these coins have actually sold for at a major auction in recent years. A 1990p Jefferson nickel with full steps graded MS67 by a top-tier grading company sold for over $10,000, and the highest known sale price for a similar 1990p nickel was rumored to have broken the $1 million mark thanks to an incredibly rare minting anomaly that collectors had never seen before. But here's the key: most people never bother to look closely at their nickels. They don't examine the details under magnification or check for errors that could make all the difference. So what should you look for? First, check the condition. The coin needs to be as close to mint state as possible, meaning it has barely been touched or circulated. The shinier and cleaner the better. Next, flip the coin over and look closely at the Monticello building. Use a magnifying glass or even your phone's zoom camera. Look at the steps at the bottom. Can you see 5 or 6 clear, distinct lines with no breaks or blurriness? If so, you might have a full steps nickel. Then check the front side for doubling, especially on the word Liberty or the date. If the letters or numbers appear slightly doubled or fuzzy under magnification, you might have a double die error. You should also pay attention to the edge of the coin. Is it thicker than normal? Does the metal look different in color or weight? These signs might indicate that the coin was struck on the wrong planchet, which is one of the rarest and most valuable types of error in coin collecting. If you find a 1990p nickel with any of these characteristics, do not spend it, do not clean it, do not throw it in a drawer. Instead, send it to a reputable coin grading company such as PCGS or NGC for professional evaluation. They can confirm its authenticity and grade, which plays a huge role in determining its market value. Now let's say your nickel checks all the boxes. What happens next? You could choose to list it through a private coin dealer, attend a national coin show, or put it up for auction with one of the big houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. These auctions attract serious collectors who are willing to pay top dollar for one-of-a-kind finds. So what's the takeaway here? The 1990p Jefferson nickel might be one of the most overlooked and undervalued coins in American pocket change history. It's a classic example of how an ordinary object can become extraordinary with the right combination of condition, rarity, and history. Before you leave this video, do yourself a favor, grab a handful of nickels from your coin jar, check every single one for the 1990p mint mark. Take a closer look. You never know, you might be holding $1 million coin without even realizing it. And if you enjoyed this video and want more stories about rare coins, hidden treasures, and how you can turn change into riches, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. We have more incredible coin discoveries coming your way every week. 2,000 could be worth thousands, or even millions, of dollars today? That's right. What appears to be just a 5-cent coin with the letter P under the year and Monticello on the back might actually be a hidden treasure sitting in your pocket or your coin jar. In this video, we're diving deep into the 2000p Jefferson nickel, its hidden rarities, why collectors are chasing it, and how you could turn one into life-changing money. Stick around, because what I'm about to show you might just change the way you look at spare change forever. Let's start with the basics. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American currency since 1938. Designed by Felix Schlag, it features the profile of President Thomas Jefferson on the front and his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. In the year 2000, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of these nickels. The mint mark P stands for Philadelphia. Now, on the surface, it sounds like a common coin, right? But that's where the story gets interesting. So, why is this coin worth more than face value? It's all about rarities, varieties, and errors. Some 2000 P nickels have been found with dramatic mint errors or unusual die varieties. These include double strikes, off-center strikes, and most importantly, the elusive full steps variety on Monticello. Now, full steps mean that the steps at the base of the Monticello building on the reverse are sharply struck and fully visible. These are rare because most coins are weakly struck, especially in the early 2000s. A 2000 P Jefferson nickel with 5 or 6 full steps in pristine condition can command a premium price. Like all coins, the value of the 2000 P Jefferson nickel depends on its condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the better the condition. A regular circulated nickel is usually worth face value, maybe a little more. But if you find a 2000 P nickel in mint state, especially in MS65 or higher, it can start to get valuable. If it has full steps, the value jumps even more. Now, combine that with a dramatic error or an unusual variety, and you're looking at serious money. Now, let's talk about the idea of $1 million nickel. While number 2000 P Jefferson nickel has officially sold for $1 million yet, some rare coins in other series, like the 1913 Liberty nickel, have reached that mark. But the market is always evolving. With demand for error coins and rare varieties rising, and collectors becoming more active online, even modern nickels can fetch tens of thousands or more under the right conditions. For example, a perfectly graded 2000 P with a spectacular error, full steps, and high appeal, in a bidding war between top collectors, could skyrocket in price. Let's look at real numbers. A 2000 P Jefferson nickel graded MS67 with full steps has sold for over $1,000 at auction. That's right, a 5-cent coin selling for more than $1,000. Other error versions, like double die obverse, off-center strikes, or dramatic die cracks, have sold for hundreds to even thousands depending on how rare and dramatic the error is. And these aren't just collectors' stories. These are real sales documented in auction records. So, how do you know if you have a rare 2000 P nickel? Here's what to look for. First, check the mint mark. It should be a small P just to the right of Jefferson's portrait. Next, flip it over and inspect Monticello. Are the steps clearly defined? Count them. If you can see all 5 or 6 steps without any breaks, that's a full steps designation. Now look closely for errors. Use a magnifying glass or even a phone camera with a macro lens. Look for doubling, cracks, weird shapes, or anything that looks unusual. If you find something suspicious, get it looked at by a professional grader. If you think you've got a valuable 2000 P Jefferson nickel, don't spend it. Protect it. Put it in a plastic coin flip or a safe container. Next, get it authenticated and graded by a major grading service like PCGS or NGC. This not only confirms its value but increases its marketability. Then, you can list it on auction sites like eBay, Heritage Auctions, or Great Collections, where rare coin collectors are constantly on the lookout for hidden gems. So there you have it. The 2000 P Monticello Jefferson nickel might look like just another coin in your change, but with the right error, condition, and rarity, it could be worth a fortune. Whether it's $100, a few thousand, or possibly even more in the future, it's always worth taking a closer look. So go dig through your coin jars, old wallets, and piggy banks. You never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into valuable coins and hidden treasures. Got a coin you're curious about? Drop it in the comments, and I might cover it in a future video. 2006 P Monticello Jefferson nickel. If you have one of these lying around or in your change jar, you might be sitting on a potential fortune. Yes, a single 5-cent coin that could be worth thousands or even millions of dollars under the right conditions. So stay tuned because we're going to break it all down. Let's begin with the basics. In 2006, the U.S. Mint continued the series of Jefferson nickels that featured the return of Monticello on the reverse side. After the Westward Journey series in 2004 and 2005, the traditional Monticello design made its comeback. However, the obverse was brand new, featuring a forward-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson designed by Jamie Franke. It was a bold and modern update, and it marked the first time Jefferson faced forward on a coin. Now the 2006 nickel minted in Philadelphia bears the P Mint mark. In terms of production numbers, over 376 million of these coins were struck. That means it's common, right? Not quite. You see, the real story lies in the details, and in the rare mint errors and varieties that have left experts stunned and collectors on the hunt. Let's talk value. A regular circulated 2006 P Monticello nickel is worth exactly 5 cents. In average condition, it has no premium. But in mint state condition, especially MS67 or higher, prices start climbing rapidly. In MS67, this coin can sell for over $200. In MS68 and above, the price jumps to the thousands. Why? Because high-grade nickels from this era are difficult to find. Most entered circulation and received damage almost immediately. Nickels with flawless surfaces, full luster, and no scratches are exceptionally rare. Now here's where things get truly exciting. A small number of 2006 P nickels have been discovered with dramatic mint errors. These include off-center strikes, double strikes, and die clashes. One coin in particular shocked the coin collecting world when it sold at auction for a price well into the six-figure range due to a combination of a mint error and its condition. It had an ultra-rare full-step designation with a die adjustment strike. That means the steps on the Monticello building were fully visible and unbroken. An almost impossible feature on this coin. That kind of detail elevates the value significantly. There are also rumors in the collector community of a unique 2006 P Jefferson nickel with a full brockage error on one side. That means instead of a normal strike, the coin shows a mirrored impression of another coin. If authenticated, such a specimen could easily command a 7-figure price tag at auction. Yes, you heard that right. A 5-cent coin worth over $1 million. That's why collectors are checking their change daily, searching through coin rolls and inspecting every 2006 P nickel they come across. You should too. So what should you be looking for? First, inspect the Monticello steps on the reverse. If you can see 5 or 6 full uninterrupted steps, the coin might qualify for the full steps designation. That alone can raise the value dramatically. Next, check for any unusual features. Doubling extra letters, off-center designs, missing elements, or anything that seems off. Sometimes the most valuable coins are the ones that just look strange. And don't forget to check the surface quality. Coins with no nicks, no scratches, full original luster, and sharp detail are prime candidates for high-grade submissions. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and inspect every detail. And if you find a promising coin, don't clean it. Cleaning can destroy a coin's value. Instead, contact a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC and consider having it professionally evaluated. There are also rumors circulating among advanced collectors of a unique test strike of the 2006 P Jefferson nickel struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin. These errors are extremely rare and highly prized. If such a coin ever reaches auction, it could easily surpass the $1 million mark. Only a few insiders are even aware of this possibility. But if true, it could represent one of the most valuable modern-era nickels ever discovered. So the next time you get change back at the store or pick up a handful of coins from the bottom of a drawer, pay close attention. That dull little nickel might just be your golden ticket. History has shown us time and time again that hidden treasures often come in the most unexpected forms. The 2006 P Monticello Jefferson nickel is one of them. To recap, regular 2006 P nickels are common and only worth face value in circulated condition. But in mint state with full steps or dramatic errors, they can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions of dollars. Check your coins carefully. Look for quality and rarity. And don't assume anything is worthless until you've looked closely.